So it's a new year, and while the visions and the goals that I have are things that in my life are ongoing constantly year after year after year, I think there is something to taking a pause at the start of the year just to align yourself and to understand the direction that you want to head for the rest of the year. I think there is something to that. And I don't mean like New Year's resolutions, right? I don't mean making promises to yourself that you're never going to keep. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. You should just do your objectives and your goals when you can, whenever you can get started with them. But I think there's something to, just sitting down and finding some quiet and imagining how you want your life to be like this year. There is something about having a vision or imagining that scenario to be true. Now, for me personally, I typically start with a vision of how I want my life to be and then kind of break those down into goals of something that I can typically achieve. And for me this year, for 2022, I typically only have, a couple of big things that I'm trying to achieve. And for this year, I only have 3. So 1 big one and 2 smaller ones. So the big one is a huge, monumental change for me that is super exciting. But it's also something that unfortunately is something out of my complete control. And if you've been keeping up with the channel, then you'll probably already know what it is. And that is that I want to move my entire life to Japan. Now, this is a big change, something like this where you're moving your entire life to a different country, of course, is a huge, huge deal. But for me right now, it makes the most amount of sense timing wise. If I'm not going to do it now, I'm not going to do it when I'm 40 or 50 or 60. So you know what, like right now for me in my life, this is the only time that I'll be able to do it. And so I want to do it now. But of course, moving to Japan for several years is contingent on the whole world situation and what's going on and what ends up going on. I mean, Japan has not been accessible for new visas and new tourists and just new people entering the country for well over a year now. And so I'm unsure about the likelihood of actually being able to get into the country with a brand new visa. But, I will remain positively, cautiously as well, optimistic with how things are going to go. But again, we will see. Now, turning my life upside down and moving to Japan is going to be an absolutely gigantic move and change in my life. I'll have to settle down, find a place, make new friends and all that kind of stuff. And I'm super, super excited for that as well. This change, though, is also going to facilitate a couple of other goals that I have, the 2 smaller goals that I have for myself for this year. The first of which is a new book. So I want to make a brand new book, and this will be another photography guide based in Japan. So that'll round off the set to 3 books about Japan. So, these books are all, if you want to discover Japan from a photographic sense, I have one already on Japan as a whole, and then one on Tokyo. And then the last one that I'll be working on this year is for Kyoto and Kansai. So with these 3 books, if you don't know anything about Japan and you really want to get the most out of your time there and be efficient with your time from a photographic or sightseeing perspective, then I'll have these 3 books to cover all of those things. The second thing that I will be doing this year is a brand new course. And so this one is heavily contingent on when I actually end up going to Japan and end up moving there, because there's so much content of this particular within this particular course that I really need a lot of time to make it happen and to film and to really execute on the rest of the course. And so this course will be a travel photography course, like a full-on end-to-end really huge and gigantic project about travel photography. And it'll teach you everything: tips, tricks, and techniques, all the way from the abstract concepts to gear, to street photography, portraiture, landscapes, architecture, the whole shebang, right? But again, this is going to be very contingent on when I get into Japan, because it's going to take a very, very long time to make. I'm very sure of it, but it will be worth it. And there's going to be so much value in this course that I'm super, super excited to share it with all of you when it's finally done. And of course, on top of all of that, I still want to be making YouTube videos at least once a week throughout the entire year. And for me, I've been looking at my YouTube and really evaluating where I want these experiences to go when I'm making, these videos. And for me, I'm kind of fatigued with making content that is strictly educational. It can get a little bit tiring for me, unfortunately. So I do want to mix up the content just a little bit, but again, it is very contingent on moving to Japan and making travel content and vlogs and all that kind of stuff. I want to get into more of that kind of content in the future, but yeah, who knows when I'll be able to get back to Japan to do that, but we will see. And so with all of that, this year is gonna be, while I'm super excited about it, while I'm super excited about where the year can take me in all of its possibilities, this year is going to be the most uncertain year I've ever had, like ever. Every single year I go into a brand new year with objectives and visions of what I want to do, realistically speaking, and what I can realistically achieve. But with all the uncertainty of moving into Japan, yeah, this year is just the most uncertain I've ever been going into a brand new year. And so, I'll have to adapt, and it'll be fun regardless, and I'm still excited regardless. But yeah, it is very, very uncertain for me this year, but I'm sure it is for everyone as well. All right, what are your visions and your goals for this year? I would actually love to know. Share them in the comments and I'll read through them, and maybe I can even help you guys with some of your goals as well. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one, but until then, get out there and make something that matters.